his unique knowledge and experiences that shared with you. That's why once more he honored us to accept our invitation to be with us in our lecture. So we will be with him today. Hocam, thanks for coming again. Our students shows and send me a thousandth email after your lecture last time. They would be all happy and honored to listen your presentation. And once more, thank you for coming.
You are most welcome, Hocam. I am highly honored to address to the students of the Hacı Bayram Veli University, the Department of the International Political Students. I'm really honored. I would like to say good morning to everybody. I would like to say hello, everybody, in the very beginning. Actually, we stopped last time. We stopped on the 52nd slide, but I shall start back just to remind you some couple of important issues from the slide 47, where Makarios presented the 13 points amendment of the Republic of Cyprus Constitution to the Prime Minister of Turkey, İsmet İnönü. He visited Turkey on the December of 16, 1963, and actually he was very much disappointed with the 13 points in the Constitution of the Cyprus Republic, where the Turkish Cypriots has the founding rights with equal presentation in the governance of the government of the Cyprus and in the in all the departments of the Cyprus Republic. On December 16, 1963, Makarios went to Turkey and presented the same proposals to the then Prime Minister İsmet İnönü, late İsmet İnönü, God bless him. Makarios's proposal was also rejected by the Turkish government immediately. If you remember, Dr. Fazıl Küçük and Rauf Denktaş, they both immediately refused his proposal for the amendment of the Constitution, the 13 items of the Constitution, which is eradicating all the rights of the Turkish Cypriots and degrading the rights of the Turkish Cypriots from founding member to minority. 5 days after on Makarios's return to the island on December 21st, 1963, the armed phase of the Akritas plan was put on force. Actually, what was the Akritas plan? The main concepts of the Akritas plan was actually as a whole, as a summary, as a short, Akritas plan was a military attack plan to erase or to exterminate all the Turkish Cypriots living in the Cyprus and the island, to turn into island to a Greek island only run and governed by the Greek Cypriots. This is the just summary of the Akritas plan. The path of self-determination and enosis will be opened by getting rid of the 1960 treaties, which means treaty means the constitution of the Republic of Cyprus. So it was the enosis will be opened by getting rid of the 1960 constitution. This is number one target of the Akritas plan. Number two, if the Turks resist, the Turkish people will be dispersed and crushed. Dispersed and crushed. Yok edilecek ve ezilecek immediately and forcibly without causing foreign intervention. Derhal ve zorla, dış müdahalelere izin vermeden. It's very interesting. If the conflicts become widespread and prolonged, Turkish society will be destroyed immediately. The island will be annexed to Greece. So it has four main stages. I read the Akritas Plus in Greek, in English, and in Turkish. I know it by heart. It's about 11 pages of a plan. Of course, this is the summary. The path of self-determination and enosis will be opened by getting rid of the 1960 treaties, which means the constitution. If the Turks resist, the Turkish people will be dispersed and crushed immediately and forcibly without causing foreign intervention. Of course, it means foreign means Turkey. If the conflicts become widespread and prolonged, Turkish society will be destroyed immediately. The island will be annexed to Greece. It's a very pink dream, yes. When the amendment proposal was rejected, the Greeks attacked. Makarios decided that he cannot force Turkish Cypriots and the Turkish government to accept the amendments politically and verbally. He chose to imply his proposals by force to the Turkish Cypriots and to Turkey. And when his amendment proposal was rejected, the Greeks attacked the Turks from all possible fronts on December 21st, 1963, called the Bloody Christmas. The picture, see the little three guys, they're all men. Hakan, Kutsi, and Murat. Remember, Hakan İlhan, Kutsi İlhan, and Murat İlhan, their names were given to the vessels on the seismic research and exploration vessels. Turkish government very newly built them up. The pictures, I have the pictures. Later on, I will be able to show them to you. Remember, it was in the newspapers that 3 exploration, natural gas and petroleum exploration vessels, they got painted with red, and their names was Murat Kutsi, Hakan Kutsi, and the smallest one. The younger one was 3 months old, 6 months old. The second one was 4 years old, and the third one, the oldest, was 7 years old. There were 3 innocent sons of Dr. İlhan, Murat, Kutsi, and Hakan. In a short time, the Greek Cypriots expelled their Turkish Cypriot partners at gunpoint from all organs of the government and captured the state. The Greek Cypriot EOKA terrorist Nikos Samson. If you are following Bir Zamanlar Kıbrıs, which is tonight in TRT1, probably the guy with the black hat and standing very proud, he is the Nikos Samson. This is the gentleman in the middle holding the Turkish flag. Nikos Samson in his victory parade holding a Turkish flag after mass killing of Turkish Cypriots and destroying the Küçükkaymaklı region of Nicosia on December 24, 1963. So whatever you see in that television program tonight, Bir Zamanlar Kıbrıs, it's 99% is correct. There are some fictitious pictures, but the rest is very correct. The Daily Mirror newspaper of Great Britain, dated December 24, 1963, this was the main page, front page. It says, "This is humanity and atrocity," and printing the exterminated pictures of these 3 young men. I'm very sorry to see this picture. They were 6 months old, 4 years old, and 7 years old, Hakan, Murat, and Kutsi. Hürriyet newspaper of Turkey, December 23, 1963. This was the headline of the front page. Kıbrıs'ta EOKA'cılar faaliyetlerini arttırdılar. EOKA terror organization in Cyprus increased their assaults. This was the front page of Hürriyet. Then the next one is Milliyet. Milliyet newspaper of Turkey, December 23, 1963. The Turkish Cypriots residing at Greek Cypriot sectors. The Turkish Cypriots residing at Greek Cypriot sectors started immigrating to safe Turkish Cypriot sectors. 30,000 innocent Turkish people without arms and everything. They left all their belongings behind and they immigrated to the safe Turkish Cypriot sectors. When you leave your belongings behind, which I lived in 1964, It is not only your money, it is not only your wealth, it's your memories. Probably the tree that you met with your beloved one underneath once, the tree left behind, the cemeteries, the schools, the streets, you have memories. You leave them all behind and you just immigrate to a place where you don't know, there is no future, you cannot see your future. The place I immigrated had no water, no electricity, no road, nothing. It was just a tent. And I didn't know whether I would continue my education, what I will be after I graduate. Shall I go to the university? What will happen to my parents? Will they survive, or shall I see them again? Shall I see my brothers and sisters again? This I didn't know. Immigration is something like this. I hope you don't experience it. Period again on the December 24 next day, intercommunal armed clashes in Cyprus getting to be a civil war. Kıbrıs'taki çarpışmalar bir iç harp halini alıyor. This is the Mujahids. They're defending the picture showing the Mujahids. They're defending their territories. Milliyet newspaper the next day, December 24, Fazıl Küçük'ün ikametgahına da ateş edildi. Gunfire to the residence of Vice President Dr. Fazıl Küçük. Actually, if you remember if you of course following it, bir zamanlar Kıbrıs, the EOKO terrorists, they entered the room of Dr. Fazıl Küçük and they destroyed everything in the room. They were searching for the list of the TMT members, if you could remember. It was, I think, 3 weeks before. Warning flights of the Turkish Air Force after this massacre took place in Cyprus on the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, which was called the Bloody Christmas on the 25th of December, 1963. Warplanes belonging to the Turkish Air Force made warning flights and then a truce was reached. Truce, iyi niyetli anlaşma demek. Her türlü anlaşmanın agreement anlaşmadır ama truce iyi niyetli anlaşmadır. O İngilizce farklı bir kelime. Truce. On December 2nd, 1963, the British troops in the island set foot on the buffer zone between the two communities, which is called Green Line today. I will explain you the story of the Green Line. Actually, it wasn't drafted or it wasn't drawn on 1974. The Green Line was determined and drawn by the Colonel Peter of the British troops in the island on the 29th of December 1963. I think it is in my agenda. We'll see. If not, I will give you information about that, definitely. There it is. Commission determining the Green Line in Nicosia. On December 30, 1963, the commission consisted of Turkish, Greek, British, Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot delegates to determine the Green Line. 63, not 74. The Greeks alleged that the island was divided on 74. It is not true. The island was divided in 1963. It was divided by a commission consisting of Turkish, Greek, British, Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot delegates. Actually, it was Turkish ambassador, Greek ambassador of Greece, British High Commissioner, Greek Cypriot representative, Mr. Glafkos Kalarides, and Turkish Cypriot representative. They were both the president of the Chamber of Communities, Mr. Rauf Denktaş. They determined the Green Line. The British Major General Peter Young, which I mentioned previously, drew the Green Line on a map with a green oily pencil. This is the original picture of that map. Actually, these triangles, if you could see, these triangles here, they are the walls of the old town of Nicosia. So the southern part, this part is occupied by the Greeks, and the northern part was occupied by the Turkish Cypriots. So actually, the town, the Nicosia, was divided into two, as well as Kyrenia, Famagusta, Larnaca, Limassol, and Paphos. They were all divided into two regions, the Greek Cypriot and the Turkish Cypriot regions, on 1963, but not 74. Actually, the 1974 Turkish intervention is the result of the 1963 conflicts, the attacks of the Greek Cypriots to the Turkish Cypriots to erase them, wipe out them from Cyprus, and get hold of the island and govern the island as a whole unitary Greek state. So 94 is the result. It is not the beginning of the Cyprus issue, but it is the result of the Cyprus conflict. These are poor ladies. They're escaping from the Küçük Kaymaklı of Nicosia. Remember, I said Nikos Samson, he attacked to Küçük Kaymaklı just a couple of minutes before. 103 Turkish Cypriot villages were totally destroyed. Look at her face. Look at the faces of this lady here. It's full of afraid, and they are trying to escape to save their lives. She is holding a little small bag, homemade bag. This lady is holding his son or her son, and the lady here, she is just holding, I think, a little bag, and her daughter is running together with her. Very behind, there is a man who bended over, and the lady holding him. Look at their faces, full of afraid, and they're trying to save their lives and escaping from the Greek attacks. 25,000 Turkish Cypriots became immigrants in their own homeland. On the right side, it is the safe Turkish area, which is the north part of Nicosia. Today it is called Hamitköy, and these tents are sent from Red Crescent of Turkey. Kızılay'ın gönderdiği çadırlar bunlar. And look at her face. Look at her face. This is a very well-known picture. This picture was rewarded as the first prize in 1964, and got the first prize of the among the press members. Look at her face. Her face. She died recently. She died last year. This lady, and in the 63, look at the face of her son. He cannot understand what happened, but he is crying because his mother is crying. Look at the mother of her here, the very, very worried face, and another face here crying. And the lady is expecting his husband to return back to the village, but he will never return back. He is a martyr. Deployment of the UN peacekeeping force in Cyprus by the resolution number 186 of the UN Security Council, dated March 4, 1964. This as violence. I don't accept this 160, the resolution number 186. It gives the right to the Greek Cypriots to represent the Cyprus, and the Greek Cypriots still hiding behind this resolution, and they claim that they represent Cyprus. Only they represent the Cyprus, and they exist in Cyprus, and the Turkish Cypriots, they don't exist. As violence on the island continued to escalate, the UN Security Council decided on 4th March 1964, the resolution number 186, to deploy a UN peacekeeping force, barış gücü, Birleşmiş Milletler barış gücü, in Cyprus, and to appoint a mediator to assist, arabulucu, mediator, to assist in a peaceful solution by the Secretary General for the settlement of the crisis in Cyprus. This means that the UN peace force did not arrive to Cyprus after 1974 intervention, but they stepped in May 1964, after the resolution 186 accepted by the Security Council on March 4, 1964. So the UN peace force not 74. On 64, they arrived to the Cyprus. The Greek claims are not correct. The Cyprus issue did not start on 1974, but it started on 1963, and the UN Peace Force arrived to Cyprus on May 1964 after the resolution of the UN Security Council resolution number 186. So, the birth of the Turkish Cypriot state from 1963 to 1983, you will see very distinct 6 stages how the Turkish Cypriots built up their own independent state. Formation of the General Committee, the first step of the Turkish Cypriots towards establishing their own state. So, formation of the General Committee, it was the first stage. After the Greeks launched their armed attacks toward Turkish Cypriots on December 21st, 1963, and the Turkish Cypriots were thrown out from all their executive, administrative, judicial mahkemelerden, legal rights, yasal haklarından, and functions stated in the Constitution, anayasada belirtilen haklarından, of the Republic of Cyprus of 1960, the Turkish Cypriots formed their own self-government. Kendi yönetimlerini oluşturdular within their region, bölgeleri içinde, under the name of General Committee, Genel Komite altında, on December 23, 1963. 21st was Saturday, 22nd was Sunday, and on Monday, December 23, 1964, the Turkish Cypriots, they formed their General Committee. There was the president and 5 members. The members, they represent the ministers of today. The first step towards becoming a state began with the formation of the General Committee. 23 December 64 is the date when the first step to form an independent state was taken in Turkish Cypriot history of Cyprus. Formation of the General Committee, I continue. Dr. Fazıl Küçük elected as the chairman of the General Committee. Genel Komitenin başkanı olarak Dr. Küçük seçildi. And Rauf Denktaş, he was the president of the Turkish Cypriot Communal Assembly and vice chairman of the General Committee. Cemaat Meclisi Başkanıydı. Aynı zamanda da Genel Komitenin Başkan Yardımcısı seçildi. I'm sorry, I'm translating this also in Turkish. Rauf Denktaş banned to enter Cyprus. Couple of weeks after the formation of the General Committee, Rauf Denktaş left Cyprus to attend the London conference and to address at the UN Security Council on early January 1964. So the talk started in London, and Mr. Denktaş, he flew to London to join the London conference, and then from London to New York, he flew to join the UN Security Council on the early January 64. He was banned on his return. He was banned by the Makarios government from entering the island by the government of Makarios on his return. Look at that. You are a member of a country, you are a citizen of a country, and the president of that country is banning you to return back home. It's unbelievable, inhuman. The temporary immigration of Rauf Denktaş and his family to Ankara. Mr. Rauf Denktaş, with no other choice, forcibly had to temporarily immigrate to Ankara together with his wife and children. On the right, Mrs. Rauf Denktaş. It's his wife, Mrs. Aydın Denktaş. This is Raif Denktaş, his eldest son, who passed away on 1985 after an accident, car accident. And this is his second son, Serdar Denktaş. The girls weren't born yet. his daughters weren't born yet.
Ata hocam araya giriyorum. Bir şey söyleyeceğim hemen.
Lütfen.
Rauf Bey'in torunu da şu anda Dışişleri Bakanlığı'nda genel müdür olarak çalışıyor. Onun da adı Rauf Denktaş. Öğrencilerimize ben de bir küçük anekdot vereyim. Hakikaten de ben de tanıştım. Rauf Bey'e de çok benziyor.
Çok doğru hocam. He is the son of Rauf Denktaş, the eldest son of Rauf Denktaş. And yes, he is correct. You are very correct. He works in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Lately, he was in New York. No, he was in Washington. And I think he returned back to Ankara now. Probably he will get new posts in the future. He is a very bright man. I know him perfectly well. I know him by person. I am proud that he was your student. Excellent. Congratulations to you, hocam. At first, Mr. Denktaş, he starts going to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Ankara of the Republic of Turkey every day as a simple citizen. He is informed on the events taking place in Cyprus, and he also sends messages to the members of the General Committee. The Turkish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, after realizing his capacity, knowledge, and his very accurate predictions and recommendations, grants an office in the ministry to enable him to continue his studies in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now the foreign policy of the Republic of Turkey regarding Cyprus begins to be planned in this room. But there happens a strange situation. Politicians became divided into two groups. One group stays away from Denktaş, like the plague salgın, veba salgınının adı, while the other group works very closely with him. Very strange. This situation in Cyprus is getting more and more worse for Turkish Cypriots every day. The Greek Cypriots became the absolute ruler of the island and began to practice genocide against the Turks. The presence of the Turkish Cypriots on the island could only be sustained by the aids sent from the motherland, Turkey. You in the picture, this is an old bus produced in Cyprus. It's a production of Cyprus. And this bags here and the vessel you can see here, it's full of with the goods sent by the Red Crescent of Turkey. Kızılay tarafından gönderilen eşyalarla dolu bu gemi. It is the goods, the ship is good. The ship is full of the goods sent by the Red Crescent. The goods are their food, their tents for living, clothing, and everything immigrants need. It was sent by the Red Crescent. God save our motherland, Turkey. The Turkish Cypriots were trapped in their territory and their freedom of travel was banned. This is a picture of shame. While traveling, these people from one town to another, they were stopped by the Greek terrorist. Look at him. He is wearing a police dressing, and this is wearing an army dressing, a troop dressing, and these are the innocent Turkish people. They were forced to stand under the sun for hours, claiming that they will be searched. They are carrying arms and ammunitions and everything. It was just to give them a hard time. Look at underneath. It was taken from a picture from a newspaper. Türk bölgelerine girişlerde kurulan utanç barikatlarında herkes saatlerce güneş ve yağmur altında bekletiliyor. Tepeden tırnağa yoklanıyor. İnsanlık onuru çiğneniyordu. This is a picture from a newspaper. The Turkish house in Geçitkale wrecked and burned by Greek Cypriots. So this is a house wrecked and burned by the Greek Cypriots after an attack on the November 15, 1907 to the Geçitkale village. After the Greek Cypriot attack on Geçitkale Köfünye on November 15, 1967, the Turkish government interfered officially to the Cyprus crisis, and the formation of the Turkish Cypriot state entered to a new phase. Remember the Turkish state? It was the General Committee. It was the General Committee, and now it will enter to a new phase. Let's see the new phase. In order for the Turkish Cypriots to not give up and resist in these inhuman conditions of the imprisonment and in the face of a Greek attacks, they had to be organized. The only way to do this was to establish a government structure beyond the General Committee, just one step further. Studies are initiated based on the Constitution of the Republic of Cyprus of 1960, a state structure in accordance with the current conditions is adopted. And on the December 28, 1967, the Provisional Turkish Administration of Cyprus is declared. Geçici Kıbrıs Türk Yönetimi, the Provisional Turkish Administration of Cyprus is declared. So this is the second stage. From the General Committee, the state, the name of the structure, or the structure of the state shifted to the Provisional Turkish Administration of Cyprus. Geçici Kıbrıs Türk Yönetimi. Rauf Denktaş recommends to the Turkish Ministry of Foreign Affairs the establishment of a small state structure so that the Turkish Cypriots can be better organized. When his proposal was accepted, he reports the situation with a crypto message to the leader of the Turkish Cypriots, Dr. Küçük, with whom he was always in touch and cooperation. Actually, when Rauf Denktaş was working in Ankara, in his room in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, he recommends to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Turkish government, the establishment of a small state structure. So it will be better for the Turkish Cypriots. It is accepted. His proposal was accepted by the minister and the government, Turkish government, and he sent the message with a crypto to Dr. Küçük. Formation of the Provisional Turkish Administration of Cyprus, the second step of the Turkish Cypriots towards establishing their own state is the formation of the Provisional Turkish Administration. Based on the Constitution of the Republic of Cyprus of 1960, a state structure in accordance with the current conditions is adopted, and on 28 December 1967, the Provisional Turkish Administration of Cyprus is officially declared. Here in the middle, this gentleman is late Dr. Küçük. This gentleman on the left is Rauf Denktaş, and this gentleman is Mr. Kemal. He is the head of the Mujahids at that time in Cyprus. The Constitution of the Provisional Turkish Administration of Cyprus is only 4 articles and has a provisional article. Dr. Fazıl Küçük takes over the duties of a president, and Rauf Denktaş the vice president in the new administration. Return of Rauf Denktaş and his Rauf Denktaş and his arrest, of course. Return of Denktaş, who was in exile in Ankara, was allowed by the Makarios government to return back after 4 years on 1968, and on April 13, 1968, he returns back to Cyprus. According to the agreement reached after the attacks on the Geçitkale village, the Inter-Communal Negotiations began in June 1968 in the Beirut of Lebanon, the Phoenicia Hotel. The intercommunal talks, they are the first talks, started in 1968 which is 53 years before, and still the talks of the Cyprus is on, continuing. The inter-communal talks started. The attendees were three initially: Rauf Denktaş on behalf of Turkish Cypriots, Glafkos Klerides on behalf of Greek Cypriots, and the special representative of the UN Secretary General to Cyprus. Later, on the second stage, Professor Dr. Orhan Aldıkaçtı on behalf of Turkey and Mihail Dekleris on behalf of the Greece attended to the negotiations, and the number of the parties became 5: Turkish Cypriots, Greek Cypriots, UN, Turkey, and the Greece. As the negotiations progressed, the Greek Cypriots clung firmly to the concept of a simple unitary Greek state, and still they insist on a simple unitary state. And after 53 years, they say that the only solution is to establish a Greek state, and the Turks will be minority under that state. Of course, this is refused by the new elected Turkish Cypriot president, Mr. Ersin Tatar, and he, on the Crans Montana, he claimed that we will sit on the negotiation table with only under one condition, which is equal states with equal governance rights, internationally recognized two states. No other choice will be accepted by the Turkish Cypriots. This was after 53 years. When you look at the picture, the gentleman on the left behind is Glafkos Klerides. He is the negotiator on behalf of Greek Cypriots, and he is the president of the Greek Cypriot Chamber. And the gentleman on the right with the dark glasses is Mr. Denktaş. He is the negotiator for the Turkish Cypriots and the president of the Turkish Chamber, Turkish Cypriot Chamber. Chamber, Kıbrıs Türk Cemaat Meclisi, Chamber meclis manasında burada. Because the simple unitary state governed by the Greek Cypriots was the most favorable type of state for them, Makarios rejected the self-government demand of the Turkish Cypriots, stating, "We do not want a state within a state." And this caused a further problem in Cyprus, and the Turkey was forced to intervene on 74. We'll see later on. The formation of the Turkish administration, which is the third step. The third step of the Turkish Cypriots towards establishing their own state. After the necessary documentation preparations, the Turkish administration was declared on 21st April 1971. Dr. Fazıl Küçük appointed as the president and Rauf Denktaş as the vice president. The existing constitution became the constitution of the new administration. The name of the new administration is Turkish Administration of Cyprus, Kıbrıs Türk Yönetimi. So they canceled the provisional. Geçiciyi kaldırdılar. They canceled the provisional in the second stage, and the third stage was only Turkish Administration of Cyprus. Inter-Communal Negotiations, again between Mr. Denktaş and Mr. Klerides on the right, Mr. Denktaş on the left. The second stage of the negotiations held between August 29, 68 and January 3, 1969. It was in Nicosia, this time in the Ledra Palace Hotel. The third stage of the negotiations held from 69 to 70. The fourth stage of the negotiations began on 21st September 1970 and kept going on without reaching to any firm conclusion till 74. The Makarios government had no intentions at all to give partnership rights to the Turkish Cypriots, and the negotiations had no chance to end with a mutual agreement. From right to left, look at the picture. It's Mr. Rauf Denktaş from right, on the very right, Turkish Cypriot negotiator. Osorio Tefal He is the special representative of United Nations Secretary General in Cyprus, Osorio Tefal, and Glafkos Klarides, the Greek Cypriot negotiator, the gentleman on the very left. Turkish Armed Forces intervention. So this is on the morning of July 15, 1974, a coup was held in Cyprus on the instructions of the junta of colonels in Greece. Yunanistan'daki junta albayları tarafından verilen talimatla 15 Temmuz 1974'te Makaryos'u devirmek için bir darbe yapıldı. The Republic of Cyprus was abolished and Hellenic Republic of Cyprus unilaterally declared. Bu darbeden sonra Kıbrıs Cumhuriyeti lağvedildi, iptal edildi ve Kıbrıs Helen Cumhuriyeti ilan edildi. Tek yönlü olarak ilan edildi. Değişikliğe bakın, cesarete bakın. The attacks were aimed at the Turkish Cypriots as well. Republic of Turkey as a guarantor state intervened on 20 July 74 and the peace operation was carried out by the Turkish armed forces. When the attacks were aimed and started to the Turkish Cypriots, the Turkey as a guarantor, which is the guarantor, it is the annex number 4, item number 1 in the Constitution. Annex number 1, item number 4 gives the right to the guarantor states if the Cyprus Republic was abolished, and the guarantors would have the right to intervene and put back the Republic of Cyprus as it is. And since 74, the Republic of Cyprus couldn't be put back, and the Turkish army is still officially and legally in the Cyprus, waiting for the negotiations to end and the solution to be achieved. We don't know when. The fate of Turkish Cypriots began to change with the intervention of Turkish armed force. This picture was taken on the August 17, 1974. This is me. I joined the, of course, Cyprus War as a mujahid, and this was taken right after the war in the 1974 intervention. The Turkish Cypriots achieved their freedom and liberty. Özgürlüklerini ve bağımsızlıklarını kazandılar. They had longed for almost a century. UN Security Council called ceasefire to both sides 2 days after the Turkish armed forces intervention and asked for negotiations. This picture was taken on the morning of July 20, 1974, and this is the Turkish army, and these are the carriers, Navy carriers, and these are the trucks carrying the Turkish forces. The trilateral, üçlü görüşmeler, the trilateral conference called by the United Nations Security Council's resolution number 353 began in Geneva on July 25, 1974. On July 30, 1974, the Geneva Protocol was signed. This gentleman is the late Turan Güneş, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Turkey. He was very successful. God bless him. Turkish Cypriot and Greek Cypriot representative also participated in the second Geneva talks, which began on August 8, 1974. However, the conference suffered a complete failure due to the Greek and the Greek Cypriot intransigence. They wanted to earn some time to transfer troops from Greece to Cyprus to kick out or force back the Turkish troops to the sea. The Greek side distracted the negotiations to gain some time to transfer more military troops and arms from Greece to Cyprus. The Turkish government, realizing the distraction policy of the Greek side, initiated the second phase of the intervention on August 14, 1974. The UN Security Council called ceasefire to both sides 2 days after the Turkish Armed Forces' second intervention and asked for negotiations. The intervention ended on the August 16, 1974. The picture I showed you was taken on August 17, after the intervention ended. And the Cyprus island divided into 3 zones as in the picture. Turkish zone on the north, Greek zone on the south, and the buffer zone, Greek, in the middle. Actually, the purple here is the British base, Dikelia, and the brown here is the British base, Akrotiri, here. This is the bases are established according to the 1960 Constitution. In light of the new conditions created by the 1974 peace operation, on October 1st, 1974, Turkish Cypriot administration takes the decision to take a further step towards an independent state and declares, this is number 4, Autonomous Turkish Cypriot Administration, Otonom Kıbrıs Türk Yönetimi. This is the this is the 4th stage towards a free, independent Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. This was on October 1st, 1974. After the necessary documentation preparations, Autonomous Turkish Cypriot Administration on October 1st, 1974, Dr. Fazıl Küçük appointed as the president and Rauf Denktaş as the vice president. The existing constitution became the constitution of the new administration. When the peace calls of Prime Minister of the Republic of Turkey, Bülent Ecevit, to the Greeks to re-implement the 1960 Republic of Cyprus on the island did not yield any results. It was decided to declare the Turkish Federated State of Cyprus to pave the way for the establishment of a federal republic on the island. This is the 5th stage. See, the Cyprus Republic's constitution, Annex 1, item number 4, it gave right to the guarantors to re-implement of the 1960 Republic of Cyprus if this situation was changed. It was changed on the 15th of July 74 by the declaration of the Cyprus Hellenic Republic. So the Turkey has fully the right to intervene according to the international rules and regulation. The gentleman on the right is late Bülent Ecevit. God bless him. The Prime Minister Bülent Ecevit and the Vice President of the Autonomous Turkish Cypriot Administration, Rauf Denktaş, started jointly the official paperwork to declare the new administration state. The gentleman on the right is Bülent Ecevit, the late Prime Minister. In the middle, Rauf Denktaş, the late President of Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. The gentleman on the left is Nejat Konuk. He was the first Prime Minister of the Federated State. After the necessary documentation preparations, Turkish Federated State of Cyprus declared on February 13, 1975. This is the 5th stage. Rauf Denktaş elected as the president of the Turkish Federated State of Cyprus. A new constitution was drafted by the founding assembly. This was the day Rauf Denktaş was declaring the Turkish Federated State of Cyprus. I am among this crowd in the very front line here. After the election, parliamentary election results were announced. The 40-member Turkish Cypriot Federated State Assembly held its first meeting on July 1976 at the Parliament building in front of the Nicosia Palace. The first 5-year legislative period began when deputies took the oath in order of surname. So I was elected as a member of parliament, milletvekili olarak seçildim, on 1976 when I was in the age of 26, very young, and this is when I give my oath in order to the surname in the parliament. This is the first meeting of the parliament, very honorable, the first state of the Turkish Cypriots. After the declaration of the Turkish Cypriot Federated State, negotiations were launched to bring peace to the island. The peace negotiations lasted for a further 9 years and yielded no results. The federal parliament passed a resolution on June 17, 1983, stressing the right to self-determination. Kendi kaderini tayin etme hakkını aldı. Federal Parlamento 17 Haziran 1983'te. No progress in negotiations achieved for the next 5 months, and the Turkish Cyprus Federated State government, jointly with Turkish government, decided to declare the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. Nihayet Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyeti ilan edilmesi kararı alındı. The Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus was declared by a unanimous decision of the Federal Assembly on November 15, 83. 15 Kasım 1983'te bütün milletvekillerinin onayıyla bu gördüğünüz kabul kağıdıdır. Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyeti'nin kuruluşunun kabul kağıdı. This is the document which is approving the establishment of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, signed by all the member of parliaments in the parliament. The fifth and the final step of the Turkish Cypriots towards establishing their own state. After the necessary documentation preparations, Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus declared on November 15, 1983, Rauf Denktaş elected as the president again. The founding parliament drafted the new constitution of the new Turkish state. If the six stages leading to the declaration of Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus under the leadership of Dr. Küçük and Rauf Denktaş. December 23, 64 General Committee. This is the summary. December 28, 1967 Provisional Turkish Administration. April 21, 1971 Turkish Administration. October 1st, 1974 Autonomous Turkish Cypriot Administration. February 13, 75 Turkish Federated State of Cyprus. And finally, November 15, 83 Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. So this is the very short story of the establishment of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus and the national struggle for freedom of the Turkish Cypriots. I thank you very much for your patience, and I will be happy to receive your questions.
Hocam, thank you for your time and this great presentation. I have two questions. One of them is personal. As we've seen, you were the youngest MP in the Northern Cyprus at that time. How did you feel when you first was elected? Was my first question. And my second question, how did you evaluate the role of Erbakan in the intervention of Turkey to Cyprus? Because generally the role of Erbakan seems to be very controversial. Some of scholars claim that actually he has a very strong role, but never ever publicly mentioned like Ecevit roles.
Thank you very much for the question, Şuay hocam. Actually, I was when I was elected, I just couldn't believe the results because the number of the candidates were over 150. Only 40 people, 40 MPs were elected, and I was the very youngest. I was the 26th, and I didn't know what even state means at that time. So I learned it, of course. I learned it later on, but I was very much excited, and I was, of course, proud to be in the parliament. I was very lucky because my English was, I'm graduate from the US, and Mr. Denktaş, he immediately, he took me, I was in his office as from the beginning of my parliamentary or the political life. And I learned, he was my tutor, he was my lecturer, he was my professor. I mean, I learned everything from him. He was an excellent politician. I benefited a lot. This is the reason. Actually, I'm a civil engineer, as you know. I'm a graduate of 1970. But on the 2012, I had my PhD in international relations because I wanted to convert, or I wanted to build up all this knowledge which I earned in the parliament, in the skeletons or in the basis of the academically information. This is the reason why I have now 2 PhDs, and of course I just continue with my education still in the international relations. It's an endless field, so I believe we should continue. And we should continue all. About your second question, Mr. Erbakan, God bless him. I have an article, I have a paper about his decision on the 18th of July 1974 in the Esenboğa airport, when Bülent Ecevit, the prime minister, his plane was took off from the airport. Mr. Erbakan, he became the acting vice president, so acting prime minister. I'm sorry. He became the acting prime minister because he was the vice prime minister at that time, and immediately he ordered the general officer, the general commander of the Turkish army, Mr. Semih Sancar, or the General Semih Sancar, if there is a possibility to start the intervention. And when he confirmed, he said, I order you as the acting prime minister, vice prime minister, to start the intervention immediately. Then this is another case for another conference. I will give you all the details with all the documentation and everything. Actually, he is the one, he is the leader who decided on the intervention, Turkish forces intervention to the Cyprus very, very bravely. I have all the documentations to prove this, but I think everybody was very respectful to Bülent Ecevit, and jointly they declared that the Bülent Ecevit decided the intervention. The fact behind the curtains is totally different. Next time I will explain you this. Thank you very much for your time, for inviting me to your conference. I am honored to address to you all. Thank you again.
Thank you, hocam. If you still have few minutes, we can take question from students, but if you don't have time, it's fine for us.
No, I could be 5 minutes late. It's okay. I've got a lecture, but
okay. Arkadaşlar bir tane soru alalım. Tek bir soru alacağız. Hüseyin.
Hocam öncelikle çok teşekkür ederim. Biraz hızlı olması için sorularım fazlaydı. Hızlı bir şekilde soracağım.
Tek soru sor Hüseyin.
Hocam hemen soruyorum o zaman. Şöyle 2004 yılında eğitim materyalleri değişti. Hatırlarsanız anlam planı kapsamında. Bu materyallerle alakalı tekrar bir geri dönüş olacak mı? Sonuçta biz kendi tarihimizle alakalı bölümleri çıkartmıştık o materyaller içerisinde. Yani tarih, özellikle tarih kısmını aramızdaki iyi ilişkileri göstergesi olarak biz yaptık ama Rum tarafı yapmadı. İkinci bir soru hemen Şener Elcil'le alakalı olarak onun yaptığı çalışmaların benzerlerini bizim tarafta biz ne yazık ki göremiyoruz. Ben 5 yıldır günde takip ediyorum Kıbrıs gündemini. Aynı şekilde yine Stelios Vakfı'nın vermiş olduğu bir takım biliyorsunuz maddi destekler var. Adı vakıf üzerinden yürütülüyor fakat her yıl bu faaliyetler